Hello.
Hello, is this Mr. Jonathan Swires from Monument Metals?
Hey, Sal. How you doing?
All right, how you doing? You are live. Folks, we were able to connect to Jonathan Swires, the founder of Monument Metals. We have interviewed him before in a Bullion dealer interview. And so I'm pleased and thankful that he took the time out of his schedule. And I know he's very, very busy right now. And so, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us. And I don't know if you're watching the live stream or not, but I have posted a video where viewers can ask questions directly to a Bullion dealer about some of what's been going on. And I've got it actually up on the screen right now, some of these comments. And there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. And I don't even know really where to begin. And I know your time is limited, but I did want to kind of talk generally here, and maybe not so much ask these specifically, but to kind of give a just to cut to the chase and what people are asking. We'll start out first with the question about the silver supply.
Right. So I did want to say before we get started with the question, I just wanted to address a couple of things.
Sure.
I've done this for 20 years, and I've been through some pretty crazy times in this business, and this is the craziest.
Right.
And it's only been a few days.
Yeah.
I wanted to specifically come on, not just because, you're a good guy and, we've done this before, but I think it's very important for people to understand what's going on with dealers right now. I was looking around online over the weekend, and there's a lot of misinformation.
Okay, Jonathan, I'm sorry. Can you hold on 1 second? There's an echo, apparently, and I'm not hearing it on my end, but let's see here. Good. Okay, that is better. That is better. Very good. I know what the problem was. I think I solved it on my end. Very good. Okay. All right. So, yeah, go ahead and continue. Maybe with what you said before, but you're talking about this as an unprecedented time for your company, but you probably think for most bullion dealers out there, correct?
It's for everybody. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think that's pretty fair to say at this point. And the main reason I wanted to come on is I think there's a lot of misinformation out there with what's going on with dealers. I kept seeing a lot of accusations that the dealers are holding back on the silver and don't want to sell it, and that we're only raising premiums because we're greedy and want to make more money. That's just not correct. So wanted to come on here, talk a little bit about that, answer any questions you have, and let people know a little bit, more about how the business works and how we are handling what's going on right now.
Well, very good. Yeah, I think you really cut to the heart of what some people are concerned about in that regard. And yes, exactly. It's people feel that you're holding back stock, or in general, bullion dealers are holding back stock that they paid and they paid a certain price for and are not selling it, which would be understandable. But they feel like they're being told that they're out of stock, when in reality they're holding that stock back and trying to get other silver for a less price.
Right. And I understand where that mentality comes from. Now, I can't obviously speak for all dealers, but they're going to have sort of two portions, and it's all based on the concept of hedging your position in precious metals. Now, I know you've done a video on this, but if you don't understand it, here's a quick recap. There are dealers that hedge and dealers that don't. The dealers that don't hedge are not having a good time right now, because if you don't hedge, you have no protection against downside loss in the market.
Right.
So if you're not hedging, right now you're looking at, a $5 an ounce loss in silver over the past week. And if you bought silver up there, then yeah, you don't want to sell down here.
That's right.
So a lot of smaller dealers don't hedge, but what a lot of smaller dealers will do if they don't hedge is what they'll want to do if they want to sell at lower levels, even though they bought higher, is they'll want to replace that with ounces. So for instance, let's say you have 1,000 ounces of silver bought at $17 an ounce. And someone calls you and it's $12 an ounce and they want to buy 500 of those ounces. Well, you would take $5 an ounce loss if you're not hedged on that position. But if you go out and buy 500 ounces, bring in 500 ounces, and sell 500 ounces at that same price at 12, you're essentially replacing those ounces in your cost. So even though then you have 500 ounces at $17 and 500 ounces at $12, and it balances out. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah, so, yeah, and that is kind of and so that silver that you bought at the higher price, that is that silver that you're not going to sell. You're going to get the short position silver. You're going to go out.
That's a way to hedge your position. We call it hedging with ounces, or just repurchasing at a lower price and then selling the material you had bought higher. You replace those ounces at a lower price so you can sell it without losing.
Right.
Because if you end up selling the stuff you bought down at $12 or higher, you're going to make that back. So that's one way people do it. But the way most of the online dealers that you'll see do it is they'll hedge with futures contracts. So if I have 10,000 ounces of silver, I'll have that in my inventory, right? And then I'll also take an opposite position of futures contract. So essentially that's negative 10,000. So if the precious metals market goes down, if silver goes down, my inventory loses value. But my hedge contract, my negative, gains value of about the same amount if I'm hedged properly.
Right.
So in other words, a downwards trending market does not scare me as a dealer that hedges.
Yes, that's understandable. Now, when you go to purchase from their short positions to buy the silver at the cheaper price, especially in this market today, I've talked to another local coin shop who tries to do somewhat of the same type of thing on a local coin shop level, but not to the level that an online bullion dealer would. But they're having a hard time finding it for near spot. Now the premiums are high for them. So isn't that another issue that's unique now?
So here's the deal. First of all, to address the question of is everyone sold out? I mean, I can't speak for everyone. I know that we are of essentially everything. We have a few products up on our deals page that you can buy that are essentially all pre-order items that are 4 to 6 weeks out. Last week, at the end of last week, essentially the entire precious metals industry sold out of just about all live material, especially everything low premium.
Right.
It's all gone.
Yeah.
So what dealers like us and dealers around the country are doing is they're trying to find material to sell. A lot of it will be on delay, which most people are fine with. But the problem is there's nothing to buy. So how do you get someone to sell or free up inventory in a market like this? You have to pay more.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So that means premiums go higher. That's the only way to get people to buy. So for instance, our typical cost from the mint on 2020 Silver Britannias from our wholesalers is about $1.60 over spot for 2020 Silver Britannias. I bought a couple boxes the other day for $3 an ounce over spot because that's what they cost now.
Right.
We're selling tubes for $3.49, I think.
Right.
On the site. I mean, it's not like we're making $3 an ounce now. I mean, we're just making 49 cents an ounce on a tube, which is just enough to cover the quote-unquote free shipping and, make a little bit on there. So you got to be aware that these premiums changing is here to stay. Now, you can deal with higher premium material in a number of ways. You can deal with it if you're either going to put things out of stock that don't have an ETA. So, for instance, Silver Eagles right now. You can't buy Silver Eagles anywhere right now, at least not live material. So if you want Silver Eagles, you could probably pay to get them for a delayed delivery, but the question is, how much do you want to pay over spot to get them? And getting that number is not an easy thing to do right now because the market is so much in flux. So what some dealers will do is they will just continue to raise the premium essentially until people stop buying it. That's one way to slow it down.
And I've covered that too. Exactly right. That's what I tell people. If they see these high premiums,
that's free market. That's free market working for you. Now, we are not doing that. What we have done is we want to do a couple things. One, we want to find products to sell there's basically nothing to sell that would ship right away at this point. But we're trying to find products that we can sell at a fixed premium and that have a fixed ETA that we could actually get it to you by.
Right.
Now, that's not super easy to do right now.
Yeah.
But, so for instance, Silver Eagles, we could pre-sell Silver Eagles at $10 over spot, but I'm not a huge fan of, I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror tomorrow. Not a huge fan of that. So I'd rather wait for the U.S. Mint to come out and say, here's the new ETA for 2020 Silver Eagles. That's going to push premiums down at least a little bit.
Yeah.
And, at that point, with a fixed ETA and with an allocation that what it would be, I would feel comfortable selling more coins at that point. But, some dealers are willing to, sell in that kind of environment. I'd rather not, honestly, because I don't want to take risks with other people's money like that.
Right. Yeah. Understandable. So with the rising premiums and where the market is, then that means that the long positions, the silver they have in stock, that they bought at a higher price at $16 or $17 an ounce, it has now become a competitive market again because everybody's raising their premiums, which means that it is feasible for bullion dealers to literally run out of stock because they're selling their higher premium or the stuff they got for a higher price from the long positions. That's kind of how I'm reading some of what you're saying there.
Essentially, there's really no other way that this market has worked. Nobody is making silver available for 10 cents over spot. I remember when we were buying silver rounds brand new for 30 cents over spot. That material isn't out there right now.
Right.
I bought some silver rounds that are about 4 to 6 weeks out and put them on our deals page today. We sold out of that like 3 times during the day with different tranches that I bought during the day, and the premium went up, by about 50 cents from our sources, throughout the day. And I'm amazed we even have any left to sell. They won't last very long.
Right.
You're looking at 4 to 6, possibly 8-week delays on just about everything that most people want to buy.
Yeah, it really is. It's amazing. To me, and you're seeing this mostly on the silver side, right?
Honestly, it's everything. I've never sold so much platinum.
yeah, I know. I've got an order in with you for a Platinum Eagle.
Platinum's going crazy. It's really everything. It's just the increased interest in everything. But dealers are not hoarding material to stop from selling to you. The only way I make money as a dealer is if I'm selling you coins at a price that, at a premium that I can actually make money. So, for instance, those silver Britannias we bought at $3 over, selling tubes at $3.49, just having that inventory here, just sitting and waiting. If I have hedged material like I do, the spot price going up doesn't even help me. So all I want to do is I want to sell silver to you. What I don't like doing is selling silver that I don't know when it's going to be here.
Right.
And what price I'm going to have to pay to get it. And when I say price I have to pay, I don't necessarily mean the spot price. I mean the premium over spot it's going to cost me. Because if I start selling Silver Eagles on delay tomorrow, but I can't buy them, and I put them up for $5 over spot, what happens if by the time I can actually buy them, they want $7? I just lost $2 a coin.
Right.
You can't operate that way. So we're just trying to be really cautious about the specific type of material that we offer. And I think we have very stringent criteria over what we want to make available to sell, because most people are really looking for, 20 or 30 of probably the most popular products out there. And that's what most people are buying. And so what we're going to focus on doing is, like I said, having products with a firm ETA and a firm premium over spot. Buy those. Now, obviously, all of this stuff will be delayed delivery. Everything will be.
Yep.
But have something where we have a fixed ETA and put all that stuff on our deals page. And, that will give people a nice smattering. We'll be working on that. We have been working on that for the next few days. And if we can do that, we'll give people a nice smattering, and at least people will have something they can buy at a premium and a fixed ETA that they can get.
Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. Yeah. Very good. That's definitely good. I mean, if you can find stuff that comes in, or and by the way, that does. Some people are asking here, what will you buy silver? If people want to sell silver to you, what are you paying from the general public?
No one's selling anything.
Right.
Nobody's selling anything.
Yeah. And they shouldn't. I tell people they shouldn't sell at this price.
I mean, I wouldn't. If I were, just a person, why would I sell here?
Right, right.
You know that the only thing that's going to be faster than the way this came down is when it turns around, how fast it goes up. I mean, they just printed 1.5 trillion the other day without blinking an eye.
Right.
And interest rates are already zero.
Yep.
Everyone, what was that? They were talking about $1,000 per family, which is, the precedent for universal basic income.
Yep.
I mean, here we go.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy what's happening in the world, and it's happening so fast, and it's just a matter of time. It's who knows what's going to happen. And then they stopped the reserve requirements for $10 million or something for the big banks to have on cash on hand. They don't have that requirement anymore. It's it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we take some questions, because I know a lot of people have a lot of different questions for dealers, and I'm of course, as always, happy to answer.
Yeah. Well, we can do that, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this. There's so many questions, and some of these are really long-winded on the video, and I'm almost tempted to kind of go to those. You know what video I'm talking? It's on the screen here, but I was wondering if maybe the best thing to do is for you to find that comments on that video, which is called "If You Could Ask One Question of a Bullion Dealer," and maybe you pick one or two and answer those.
You mean
there
in the comments of that video?
Yeah, and you can read it. We can find it together, or I can scroll through here.
I got it.
Okay.
All right.
And if you could say the name of the person too, so I can find it and say it's being answered or whatever.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, the very first question is, why are spot prices not reflective in your sales? Seems that Silver Eagles are carrying a ridiculous premium in excess of $5 an ounce. I mean, I feel like I covered that a little bit already.
Yeah.
If you can't find it, the price just goes up and up and up for whoever has it and wants to sell it on the market. There's just nowhere to get that stuff right now.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Let's see, what else do we have? When spot price goes up to $18 to $20 per ounce, can we expect to see diminishing premiums since you hold sell price at 20 during a 13 spot period? Since you pass the buck in your losses, will you pass the savings when you sell your 13 per ounce accumulations during spot run up to $20? If not, are you prepared to go out of business? Okay. So first of all, you'll see diminishing premiums if demand drops. That's how premiums will come down.
Yep.
I mean, even in a rising market, if gold and silver, jump to $30 tonight, there will be a lot of demand. It'll just be different demand. It'll be demand to sell, or it'll be demand to buy if people believe it's going higher. So, I mean, it all depends what the sentiment is at the time. The thing that would bring premiums down is if the market calms down a little bit, which, given what's going on right now, I don't see in the short term.
Right.
And they asked, if not, are you prepared to go out of business? I mean, why would anyone want to go out of business?
Yeah.
I mean, we want to supply you guys with metal. That's what we're here for.
Right. Yep. And that's a service you provide, and it would be disservice for you to want to go out of business for doing this. So yeah, because it is a pretty competitive market for sure. Yeah. Let's see here.
Why don't you pick out a few others? I'm just kind of scrolling through and looking.
Okay, well, here from the chat, Demon Hunter, can you ask if silver shot to $50 an ounce tomorrow, would a dealer buy it?
Would we be able to buy it? Is that the question?
Yeah. Would you buy it if it went to $50 an ounce?
Sure.
Tomorrow? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even if it goes higher, there's going to be buyers and sellers at that level. I mean, there may be more sellers at that level at first, but I mean, if you drive straight to 50 like that, at that point, are you thinking you're stopping there, or are we going to 100?
Right.
That's the thinking.
Native Stacker says, if silver stayed around $14, how long would it have to be there for you to get the premium back to normal? $1 for rounds, $3 for ASC as an example, I guess.
Well, like I was saying before, I mean, mints would have to catch up with demand a little bit. That means you guys would have to stop buying as much as you're buying. So, I mean, whatever market conditions lead to less interest is the only way that premiums are going to start coming down. Because, I mean, like I said, material, and this is only, 3 or 4 business days after this drop started, and we're already at 4 to 6 weeks out on almost everything.
Right.
What if it continues? 8 weeks? 10 weeks? That's what it's going to be.
Yeah. I've never seen this before. It's crazy. I'm trying to find, let's see here. Where's another one? If I had 10 ounces of silver and Jill has none, if we both go to, okay, that's a silly, some people ask silly questions. Let's see here. Okay, Silver Laker, you already answered that one. Let's see here. Losing Louis, will this bankrupt you? I think you answered that. If you hedge and you're smart about it, you're not. It's not. Let's see.
By the way, I see a lot of comments in here angry at the premiums. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, but if you don't like the premium, don't pay it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just because someone is selling Silver Eagles at $10 an ounce over spot doesn't mean you have to buy it for that.
Right.
I mean,
right.
We were selling 1 ounce silver rounds at one point today at $1.99 over spot for the lowest tier of price. That was the best we could find at the time. No one's forcing you to buy it there. And, it's not a plan to keep you from being able to buy silver. But this is what happens in markets like this. It happened like this in 2008 as well. When the financial crisis happened and the crash happened in the major markets, silver went down like this too. We went from, I want to say, $12 an ounce down to $8 an ounce. And back then we sold everything that wasn't nailed down too.
Right.
But the same thing happened. Again, in I want to say it was 2015, maybe my year's wrong, but silver spiked down into the 13s for the first time in a long time. And the company I was working for at the time was pushing a lot of junk silver, wanted people to buy junk silver, which wasn't a bad idea, but they kept doing it, and the wait time was 8 to 10 weeks for delivery on that stuff, and the premiums got to be $4 to $5 an ounce over spot, which is, that might be low for right now, but that's what it was then. And, we kept trying to talk people into taking material that was more live and lower premium. But, now is not the best time to be choosy about the type of metal you're getting.
Yeah.
Now is the time to pick material that has the best premium and you can actually have delivered in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I tell you what, it's something else. Okay, here's a question, and I think this is one that you might find pretty interesting, and because I know I have been accused of being one of these paid shills. But Terry79 asks, Mr. Bullion Dealer, do you have paid shills pumping your products on the internet like YouTube? If so, who are they? Do you have the guts to answer my question honestly? I'll be waiting for your answer, and she's in here waiting for your answer.
Okay. No, we don't pay anyone. In fact, we don't advertise at all. At least my company doesn't. We're all word of mouth business. The only real marketing we do is word of mouth and email marketing. That's all we do. Now, I remember the first time I talked to you, Sal, you reached out to us, didn't you? It was an interview, a bullion dealer.
Yeah, a bullion dealer interview. Yep, and there's one time you sent me a round to review, And so whatever spot price is, that was my payment to review that round. And you never, and I don't think, I don't have any marks on my body where you twisted my arm to say, to highly praise or anything like that. But yeah, I think that was the only payment I've ever gotten.
I mean, look, people can think whatever they want. I mean, all we focus on every day is I started this company to try and do business online in a fair manner. We're not out there selling Silver Eagles at $10 over spot right now. I'd rather not sell any and be a little more cautious than try and make a few extra dollars right now. I'm sure the business will come. I want to come out of this whole coronavirus situation with a company with a pristine rep and not one that isn't delivering 4 to 5 weeks after they said they would, and at prices that you won't forgive yourself for paying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just say as a sort of an addendum to what you talked about here, part of my whole purpose for these Bullion dealer interviews that I did, that series I did a while ago when I reached out to Jonathan and other dealers, is to try to connect and to have a little bit more transparency between the dealers and the viewers, because there is a lot of people that either don't understand the process or they are just confused, or they have this preconceived notion. And so,
to me, that's the biggest part. I think just in any environment, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the Bullion business. And to be honest, the Bullion business doesn't have the greatest rep from, companies that have gone out of business in shady ways,
right,
to, sort of that sort of old coin dealer sort of business idea. I mean, I can't tell you that, every business is, the greatest in the world at Bullion, but what I can tell you is that the online Bullion business and the business as a whole is more transparent today than it's ever been. And one of the things I like doing is, whether it's talking to a client on the phone, whether it's coming on the show, try and educate people a little bit more so that they understand what hedging is.
Right.
And that we're not holding on to inventory because we bought it higher. Or, why does it take X number of days for checks to clear? Or, why do you hold orders for this? And what does pre-order really mean? Or, all these kind of questions are something that, a lot of dealers aren't great at answering. So I like to come on and try and, help people understand a little bit better. And I think that communication helps people understand who they're doing business with.
Right. And thank you for doing it. For those just joining us, we're talking with Jonathan Swires from Monument Metals, and he is answering some questions and helping to explain this crazy market we are in, but also just in general, the precious metals industry and his experience in it, and what's been going on there, and silver supply and demand. And by the way, one thing about silver supply, I will say this, and it's not that there's a lack of silver supply, it's just a lack of silver product, right? That's the problem, is getting the actual product. And
I agree with that. One of the things we as dealers are waiting on, I am waiting on, is we're waiting for, the U.S. Mint, Royal Canadian Mint, Austrian Mint, all these mints to come back and say, listen, we're making X amount of 2020 product. They'll be in X amount of days. Here's the premium. Like, once we have that information, this stuff will go back up on everybody's site. And the one thing that'll be a little different than normal is I think the supply will be allocated among the dealers, meaning that instead of just sort of, come one, come all, how many do you want? It'll be more like you get 5,000 of this, you get 5,000 of that. It'll be a little more sectioned off so that everybody gets a little bit.
Okay.
In a high demand environment like this. And I think that will help control premiums at least a little bit. They'll still be higher, but hopefully that'll bring things down a tad. And, to me, if I'm a buyer, I'm not as concerned about spot price right now. I'm much more concerned about the premium.
Right.
And I'd rather have higher silver or higher gold spot and lower premium. And just, being patient, I think, is important right now.
I agree. To me, it seems like there is and in fact, I even posted a video about the the chasm or the separation of the physical price and paper price, or what the spot price is compared to. It seems like there is a disconnect, and that could be the reality for a while as we continue to see this happen. But the market will work itself out eventually, and but trying to think if there's anything else here that I can catch.
Well,
I know your time is limited.
Do you want chat to ask questions? I know we've done that in the past.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Do you want chat to ask
questions? Yeah, let's get
some
some from the chat. Let's see. Anybody from the chat that wants to ask a question, and try to ask a question that he has not answered already. And I apologize if I'm missing a lot of people in the chat, because I've been trying to just focus on the interview here. But yes, indeed. Anybody in the chat have a question for Jonathan here? From Monument Metals, we're interviewing here. So let's see. It takes about 20, 30 seconds for a delay here. So let's see here. Terry should be proud of me for asking that question. The other one, Joshua, are dealers currently operating at a loss? He kind of covered that before.
I can't speak for everyone. Right. If you're somebody that didn't hedge and didn't replace with ounces, then yeah, probably. But to me, the biggest concern, if you're a dealer right now, are the premiums. You don't want to commit to selling somebody retail material without a fixed price on premium on what you're paying. Because, what if it ends up costing you a lot more than you thought it would? That's when you get in trouble.
Yeah.
But, that's not something that we're doing in this market.
Okay, these questions are coming in really fast, so if you want to answer bullet fast, we'll try to get through as many as possible.
Why don't you just announce them, and then I'll handle
it. Jenny Hansen, do you deal with numismatic coins as well as bullion?
Yes, we do. That market is pretty sold out too.
Yeah.
Although higher premium coins are a little bit more available, but those premiums are affected as well, such as U.S. gold. That stuff is all way up as well. One thing that no one has asked is, what is something, somewhat available that you should buy? I was kind of surprised. I think more people should be buying things like sovereigns, 20 francs.
Okay.
Fractional gold. Like, those premiums are up too. I mean, premiums on everything are up. But we had sovereigns up on the site today. Now, we sold a bunch of them, but not as fast as I thought we would have.
Okay.
And we had them at fairly low premiums for what they are now. But
that's good to know.
Don't be picky right now.
Right.
I really wanted my 10th ounce maple. I mean, don't do that. I mean, if there's major, bullion that you can sell just about anywhere at a low premium, grab it.
Yeah. Good. All right. Thank you. Junk silver. When are you going to get any more of that? Any ideas?
I mean, you want to talk about one product that is the single most demand sensitive product that is out there. It's probably 90%.
Yeah. Yep. My LCS said the same thing.
I can't even have wholesalers won't even lock me in on the price if I bought it. They have no idea on ETA.
Speedin 108. What do you think the price of silver will do next?
I wish I knew that.
Yeah.
Today was a little break. It wasn't too bad today. I'd like to think we've hit a new bottom, but anything is possible. It's possible we'll fall more. What I'd like to see is us come up a little bit and have things calm down so that premiums can calm down a little bit and we can all get on top of these delivery times a little bit better.
Right.
But that's all. That's all dependent on what's going on in the world, and I don't think things are going to get more calm for a while.
Demon Hunter, which is a great metal band. What are your thoughts on the gold to silver ratio?
I think it's a great time to buy silver.
Yeah.
If you can get it. What I would say is, a lot of people are looking for, that silver or gold to silver ratio to return to its, historical norm. There's no guarantee that it's going to. It's possible that, I believe the ratio should be a lot closer than it is, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be 50-1. I think silver has been hammered worse than any of the other metals. I think that upside potential in silver is probably better than any of the other metals right now.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that market's been funny for a while, and I would always tell people to buy a little of everything. Probably mix in some platinum, gold as well, and just slate it to whatever your goals are. Gold is a little less volatile.
Yep.
Add some of that in there too.
Speaking of gold and the coronavirus, do you keep your silver 6 feet away from the gold to prevent infection? Donald, New Mexico had that question.
Everything is stored in a safe way.
All right, very good, very good. Let's see here. Okay, tricky guy. Who or what is a major influence on prices? Rigging, supply, demand, fear headlines, or miners? That's actually a really good question. What do you think is the biggest influence on prices?
What were my choices again?
Rigging, like manipulation, supply, demand, fear headlines, or miners?
Well, on premiums, it's definitely supply and demand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely the thing that impacts that the most. Spot prices, rigging, if you believe in rigging, and the paper markets are just experiencing such a huge crunch right now because all these major brokerages are selling to cover their margin calls in other places.
Yeah.
And there's a flight to cash, but
right.
After the flight to cash, there's a flight to safety.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Mr. Sting is waiting for the pre-order on the 10-ounce Yale Queen's Beast. I guess he's waiting for that.
Normally, I would say any day now, but given shipping delays, it may take a little bit longer. But
right.
I think those will be in fairly soon.
Okay, yeah. Jay Ward, I think I can answer that question. There's no premium change. The purity doesn't make a difference. 999 is pretty much the same as 9999, 4 nines. Let's see here. Another restocking question, but you pretty much answered that before. You're going to take whatever you can get. Let's see here.
I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, like we put up wartime nickels. I forget what the premium is right now, but we put up war nickels, and that's basically the thing I could find closest to spot.
Right.
I'm amazed we have any left. I mean, go buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's not us, war nickels, go get them. That's
right.
going to be cheap over spot if you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
40% silver too. These are the kind of things that people in a calm market really aren't looking for because they can get anything.
Yep,
but
that's
in a
right.
market like this, go get war nickels. Go get 40%. If you want cheap silver, that's the way to do it.
That's exactly. Mudswat, he kind of talked about that. They will go up if demand continues. That's supply and demand. Let's see here. We talked about the gold silver ratio. Palladium, what are your thoughts on palladium and selling it and buying it?
I mean, can anyone make sense of that market?
I know, it's crazy. I guess it's limited supply, and it's about 15 times rarer than platinum, which is 15 times rarer than gold. And
I mean, to me, it's just a total speculation right now.
Yeah.
If you want to take a flyer, go for it. For me, I'm buying gold, silver, and platinum.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, Elliot, could you offer discount on copper rounds with an order to offset high spot premium?
I mean, we on quantity copper rounds, I think we make 25 cents an ounce.
Okay, yeah.
So not a lot of room there.
Right. And those are expensive to produce compared to their price. The copper's price per pound is like $2 and some per pound. So you buy a copper round not as a stack. You buy it to complement a collector piece that has the same design, or just because you enjoy it. So let's see. Very good. I'm missing some questions. Silver Turtle, how much over spot are the dealers paying since there's a shortage? So yeah, I know you said people aren't selling, but if people do offer to sell you, how much?
Give me an example of a product, and I may be able to tell you.
Okay, Silver Turtle, did you hear that? If you get an example of a product, just type my name out so I don't miss it. Demon Hunter, what's your favorite coin to stack, and how did you get started in the business?
Well, I like silver maples. especially the ones after they did the mint shield, so they don't get as milk spotted as they used to.
In 2018, that's when they did that. Yep.
2018, I think, is when they did that.
Yep.
I started in business. I worked in a coin shop locally when I was a kid, and when I got out of school, I went back and worked there for a while and kind of stuck. And I worked at a major wholesaler as well, and worked with a lot of the companies that you know online and see, and supplied all of them with a lot of material. And in the early days of online precious metals, there were really only a few options, and I thought it could use a little more of a personal touch, and so I started this business myself, and really glad that I did. I'm glad that we're here, doing what we're doing. I think one thing that has been a little bit negative in the past few years for the precious metals business is I've seen a lot of consolidation, seen a lot of options disappear, whether through going out of business or like I said, through consolidation, like companies merging and things like that.
Right.
I think you guys need as many options as possible. And look, even if you guys don't buy from us, it's a pretty big pond. There's room for everybody. But I think we bring in a unique spin, and I think that's important to know who you're dealing with these days, in this day and age.
Okay, great. Thank you. For those just joining us, we're talking to Jonathan Swires, principal of Monument Metals. And here's a good question from Chuck and Plata. How long do you hang on to stuff that does not sell in a normal? I mean, right now, it's obviously that's not appropriate.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Too long?
Too long, yeah.
Too long. I mean, it's almost like, people that play poker, they never remember the hands that they win.
Right.
They always remember the hands that they lose.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, I never forget the deals that were bad. I never forget those.
Yeah.
But, the good deals, they come and go. But, I mean, that happens every now and then. But you try and move on and try and make smart deals with the product.
Okay, we have examples from Silver Turtle 65. If they were going to sell you American Eagles, as an example, or a 10-ounce bar.
So we're talking about a dealer?
No, just an individual. If somebody wanted to sell you, a tube of Silver Eagles or a 10-ounce bar or what have you, or even one Silver Eagle, I don't know.
Tube of Silver Eagles right now, I'd probably pay, as long as they look nice, probably $4 an ounce over spot.
Wow, there you go. Okay.
If they're 10-ounce bars, as long as they're not terrible, like stuff I could retail, I'd probably pay maybe 90 cents or $1 over spot per ounce.
Okay. All right.
Something like that.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that's
the thing
important.
is, if you're selling to me, I've got to be all to buy it from you a little bit less than I can buy it from a dealer for. Right.
Yes, I see.
That's where those prices are.
Yeah. All right, very good. And let's see here. For those just joining us again, we're talking to Jonathan Swires from Monument Metals. He's agreed to answer some questions for us. Let's see here. We're taking them from the chat now. We answered some from this video that I posted. If you could ask one question, and let me see if I can find another one here that hasn't been answered before. M. Nice says, are consumers at risk paying with e-check and of not receiving the orders or refund if a dealer goes bankrupt? I heard to consider using your credit card if that's the case.
Do whatever you feel comfortable with. I'll put it this way. E-check is not the most permanent form of payment either.
Right.
The only permanent forms of payment are wire and cash at this point.
Right.
But I would say, right now is a really important time to trust who you do business with. I don't think any of these major dealers are in any kind of trouble. If anything, they're having the time of their lives with the amount of business they have.
Yeah.
From my perspective, just speaking, about us, my concern right now is the only thing I want to do is source material that has fixed ETA and fixed pricing,
right,
so that we can make ours, not some ridiculous number, but make what we're supposed to, and get you guys material so that you're not hanging on with some kind of unknown delay.
Right. Very good. Yeah, I think that's a good goal for sure. Yeah, I think people want assurance, and when they know that you have assurance of getting product and at a specific price, I think that it helps with confidence. Sterling Cannabis kind of covers ask what we sort of covered earlier, but it gives you. But I think it's a good question. Paper and physical price, they've diverged a bit. I actually posted a video about that just before I came on live here. Do you have an idea when they might converge again? You spoke a little bit about it earlier, but kind of just recap a little bit about that with the prices coming back in line to normal premiums and the like. I guess that's kind of what he's asking.
Yeah, I mean, premiums are responding to demand in the market. I mean, there's an incredible amount of demand for physical precious metals right now. Take the paper part of it out of it. If it was just physical precious metals, prices would be much higher. Spot prices, would be much higher than they are. But because they're connected, it's lower. So what you're seeing is premiums take up the slack. And, a lot of people have talked about a permanent decoupling of spot price and premium. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But in high demand periods like this, I think you're going to see it because there's simply no product, no live product to get out there. I mean, there may, come some here and there with someone who's willing to sell it at, a higher premium or something like that. But that stuff's not going to be all over the place. That may just be one deal here, one deal there.
Right. And here's a good question from Silversmith. Which website do you use to determine spot price when you do your buying and selling?
Mine, because we use a direct market feed for all of our spot prices.
Okay.
You'll also notice that the spot price on our page is more beneficial to the buyer, meaning our customers.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. All right. Let's see here. Here's I just missed it. Somebody asked, have you seen a lot of new customers since this craziness happened? I forget.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. B Demon. B Demon, a good viewer here. She just wants to thank you for having the courage to come on and answer questions. Yes, very much. Thank you for that.
Look, well, first of all, thank you. I mean, look, this stuff. What we do here. I know that for many of you, you don't have any explanation of how this works on the side, which is a big reason why I come on. But what we're doing here is not rocket science. This is all supply and demand based. If you're a business that hedges like we are, and like all of those online dealers are, the only way you make money is if you're selling to people. So Our goal is to get as much silver and gold in your hands as possible. Nobody is hoarding anything, waiting for higher spot prices. At least my business isn't, and I highly doubt that any of the major online dealers are either, because to run their businesses in that environment, they have to hedge. It's the only way to run it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Very good. Let's see here. Alex Miles, at what point do you close your doors from demand?
I don't know that we would ever close our doors. What I would say is this. You've already kind of seen it. I don't want to take an order on something when I don't know when we're going to get it. And that's basically what we've done. We've put everything on the site out of stock that we don't have a fixed ETA on it, or if we don't have it. So, a lot of the things on our deals page, we're selling as pre-order items with, 4 to 6 week delivery, but at least I know when we're going to get those.
Right.
The thing I don't want to do in this environment is sell things with unknown delay that could take much longer, and I don't want to do that.
Right. Okay. Let's see here.
Another thing about that, I feel like it's unfair. Because it's unfair to both parties. Because I don't know how much it would cost me to get it, and you don't know when you're going to get it. So that doesn't work out for either party if people are ordering things that they don't know when they can get it.
All right, we may have just sparked a potential deal here. Silver Turtle 65 says, if you give him $4 over spot now on 100 American Eagles, he will gladly ship them next Tuesday.
Call me tomorrow.
Silver Turtle, Monument Metal, Jonathan Swire.
You want a wire or a check?
There you go, Silver Eagle. I mean, Silver Turtle. Silver Turtle 65. Silver Turtle 65 is a great guy, by the way. A really good guy. So that's cool. If we can make that happen, that's great. That would be awesome. So there you go. Let's see here. Stephen Parsons, we actually answered that already. You might rewind a bit for that. I know those just popping in. We are interviewing Jonathan Swires from Monument Metals. And by the way, Jonathan, I apologize to you. When I came on, I kind of just jumped into it really quickly there. I wasn't sure what your time was like, and kind of wanted to be sensitive to that. I appreciate you taking the extra time here for sure.
Yeah, sure. I mean, people have questions. There's not a lot of times that they could get them answered, so let's get them answered.
Yeah. Trying to think.
And by the way, people don't have to just ask questions about what's going on in the market right now. They can ask general business questions about how the bullion business works, all those kind of things.
Yeah. So you guys have them. While it's here, we'll try to get as many as we can in. And I'm going to probably take this section of the chat and make a separate video out of it too. So I think it's important enough. Let's see here. Alex, what is your delivery plan for border closures? Well, you're kind of already dealing with that now in a way, aren't you?
Well, I mean, basically, our wholesalers told us to not sell anything from Europe right now. That's new product. I mean, it may be stuff that's here in the States that we could sell, potentially. But any new product is on hold from there.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's see here. And let's see, anybody else ask? Okay, do you consider platinum as a hedge against gold? So ask Rob Greer.
I don't think I'd call it a hedge. No.
Yeah.
I'd call it another form of investment that is, somewhat similar to gold and is in the same arena. But no, I wouldn't call it a hedge, no.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see. Okay, tricky guy. Only 20% of new restaurants survive 5 years. What percentage for a new bullion dealer such as yourself, hard industries to succeed or not?
Well, I don't have any numbers on that, but I can tell you from experience, it is not easy. This is the hardest business ever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's high capital constraints to get started. There's, big trust is a huge factor from getting anyone to buy from you in the first place. You've got to have a huge revolving inventory. You've got to have employees you can trust and have to learn a business that is really unlike any other. Everything you'll do with a bank is harder because you're a bullion dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about this. You have to deal with the highest levels of payment fraud in almost any type of business.
Oh man!
And you have to do all of this while working on about 2 to 3% margin.
Wow!
So if that's your fancy, go for it.
Yeah. Well, and piggybacking
I'll see you
on
out there.
And piggybacking on that, Townie Stacker asked, "Do you need a lot of capital to start a metals business?"
I will say this: you need less than you used to.
Okay.
Because of the way now. Okay, keep in mind that current situation is not what it normally is. So I'm really speaking more about what the business is more like when it's normal. Shipments move faster today, payments move faster today. So you could probably do it with less money than you used to have to, but I mean, it's still a pretty capital intensive business if you want to have any form of inventory.
Right. Okay, let's see. John F., how much silver does Jonathan buy?
I have a good amount of silver, but I mean, I practice what I preach. Precious metals are a part of my overall. I don't overweight.
Right.
So, as with anything, it's bad to be overweighted in anything. I mean, it doesn't keep me up at night. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a collector either. So I'm not one of these dealers that buy stuff and say, "Ooh, I can't sell that. I love that."
Right.
I don't do that.
Okay. Yeah. Silver Smith asks, which do you think is more precious, silver or gold?
I mean, I think the better buy right now is got to be silver. I mean, if you think about it, gold is way down just like silver and platinum. But at the same time, gold is what? Gold's still over 1,500 as of right now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's over 1,500. Yeah.
I mean, what? A year ago, it was in the high 12s, low 13s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, after all of it, if this is the bottom, who knows? But, if this is the bottom, that's not too bad.
True.
You're still at 1,500. Now, silver, it's a different story. This is a great time to buy silver. But then again, what was it, about a year and a half ago, we were in the 13s for silver. So this is
high 13s,
uncharted territory.
Right. Yep.
But it definitely feels low. But, based on what the Fed is doing, oh, my God, the way up is going to be crazy.
Now, this question has not been asked, and I'm surprised. If it has, I missed it, from Donald in New Mexico. But are Sal's push-ups fake?
What?
Well, I know you probably don't have time to watch my live streams, but I do push-ups on my live stream, and people think they're fake. I killed two birds with one stone, Jonathan. I try to keep physically fit while I do my live stream, so I'll do push-ups during the live stream.
Oh, you do? Oh, you got to keep that blood flowing?
Yeah, keep that blood flowing. Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I can't answer that. I don't know. You better keep it real, Sal.
I got to keep it real. I've filmed it. They actually have seen me do it live, but they still say it's fake. Like a deep fake. Okay. But anyways. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Elliot Finesse wants to know if you buy silver in the form of flatware, forks, spoons, and so on.
I have in my career in the past. Right now, that's not something we're really doing. But that's a great way to, take advantage of silver prices when they're higher. I wouldn't want to really be selling that right now.
Right.
If I were you.
Do you have any crazy stories where someone tried to sell you counterfeit metals?
Not really crazy stories, but I have had some situations where dealers have tried to sell me things, and either they were really bad at trying to get one over on us, or they just honestly didn't know, which is even more sad.
Right.
I had a dealer try and sell us a few $100 Morgan, and they were honestly the worst Morgan fakes I've ever seen.
Wow.
And I was just like, come on. I said, these are all fake, right? And he said, no, really?
Yeah. Now here's a little something.
He didn't seem that upset, so.
Right, yeah. So he's like, okay, I didn't pull one over on Jonathan this time. So all right. Here's a little historical nugget for you from Tom Seward. Were you aware that throughout history, an ounce of silver will buy you a lap dance? I don't know.
The one I was more familiar with was the ounce of gold and a $20 bill, and it was 100 years ago, an ounce of gold would buy you a nice suit.
Yep, that's right. I've heard that one too. Yep.
And so would a $20 bill.
Right.
And then today, an ounce of gold will still buy you a nicely tailored suit.
Yep.
And the $20 bill will be enough to get it dry cleaned.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So that's the one I know.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Oh, where is another question here? I apologize if I'm missing some stuff here. Let's see here. Okay, which do you think? Okay, we did that. Okay, I'm like way behind or something.
Let me just throw something in while you're looking at this. Please,
okay.
Not just us, but just if you guys have orders that are open with dealers, please be patient with them right now. We are all doing everything possible to get this stuff. No one wants this stuff shipped to you more than us, because none of us want to deal with 8,000 status of my order calls a day. Because we just want to get it to you, and we want you guys to buy more or be happy with what you've done with us. So everyone, industry-wide, whether it's us, whether it's anybody else, please be patient with them. Everyone has your order. It's all locked in. Your prices aren't changing. You're going to get it. Just be patient.
I wish I would have bought my Platinum Eagle from you the day after I bought it. I would have saved probably $60, but oh well.
Well, at least you'll get it.
Yeah. Bob often says the his local mint, he probably means local coin shop, only deals in cash and wire, no credit cards or debit cards. So he says debit cards okay, but no. So there are some places.
That's their choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame them.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I mean, if you want a good lesson in payment fraud, go work at a bullion company because you'll see them all.
Right. Yep. Nunya Business. How do they verify what they sell?
How do we verify what we sell?
Yeah.
Well, we use a number of methods. We use XRF testing. We use Sigma testing. We use, we have experts look at all the stuff. And, a big part of it as well is where you buy from. We buy most of our material from major wholesalers that also employ a lot of these same procedures that we do. So, the supply chain is pretty compact in the terms of that. We also don't buy a ton of stuff from the public, probably as much as many of the others do. So any of that material you've got to go over very carefully.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when people have counterfeit things, they don't know that they have it. So you got to be careful about that. But to be honest, I know counterfeits are talked about a lot. The amount of counterfeits, in the dealer sort of network, it's so low. It's really with all the things that we all do to protect ourselves and protect clients from. It's really, I don't want to call it a non-issue, but it's not nearly as big an issue if you're an individual buyer buying on eBay or going into a local shop where not everything necessarily gets tested the right way, things like that.
Right. Okay. Very good. And Robin Stabile wants you to know that there's a great crew here every day, and that's us. And you're talking about the other viewers here, and I agree. You guys are great. I appreciate you all being here for sure. And let's see here. What are your opinion of cryptocurrencies? Asked Demon Hunter.
Well, if you want to jump on the ride and see where it lands, go for it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. And let's see here.
I had Ethereum. I sold it way too early.
Yeah.
I had Ethereum at like $50, and I could have waited until it was like 1,000, but I didn't.
Right.
I didn't wait long.
East Coast Prospecting is here. We actually covered his question. He was one of those that asked the big question at the very beginning. That was it. Just watch the beginning of this interview, ECP, and I'm going to probably slice this out and make it a separate video anyway. But yeah, we didn't specifically ask your question, but it was jumbled in with the other people who asked the same question. In fact, Jonathan tackled that first without us even having asked the question. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, where are we at?
Why don't we do, I don't know, like 2 or 3 more, then we'll
okay. Yeah, sounds good. Mr. Sting, are you upset that people are only interested in his tube and junk silver and not his great personality?
I mean, for those of you who are interested in very specific products right now, the sooner you break out of that mentality in this market and buy something else that's lower premium, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, if you're a pure stacker, you want to try to find the lowest premium. However, there's something to be said for liquidity and recognizability. But in this day and age right now, or literally this day, not age, but we're like, this is a few days old. Typically, everything is liquid in the market.
Yeah, but I mean, these dealers, we're not selling like unmarked silver and stuff you can't sell. I mean, we're all selling, material from major world mints or major private mints. I mean, you're not going to have a problem with any of that stuff.
Right. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Will graphene replace silver? Says Chuck and Plata in the industrial side. You're familiar with graphene, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, not yet anyway.
Yeah. I did hear about a battery, and maybe Chuck sent me an email about it. I actually meant to do a video about it, but there is a battery that's literally on the market now that uses graphene. That's pretty interesting. Let's see here. Does John think the portfolio percentage for retirement of 5 to 20% in precious metals is too low, personally speaking? So for yourself, what do you think?
No, I don't think that's too low. If anything, I feel like 20% is high. I would say anywhere from 5 to 15%. Then you can break that down anywhere you want. And I think that breakdown depends on, how close to retirement you are and what you're looking to do. I'd say I try and practice around 10%. I think a portfolio of a whole lot of different things is really the best way to go, so that you're prepared for almost any situation.
All right. And Elliot asks, do you offer custom rounds? I have a great idea for one. I don't think you do you?
Custom rounds are a nice idea, but the problem is the least I can order of something is 5,000. So if you want to make 5,000 of them, sure.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Let's see here. Okay. A little breaking news. You might be interested in this, Jonathan, with everything that's been going on. Pamela Rice saying New Yorkers should be prepared to shelter in place order from Bill de Blasio.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And let's see here. Okay, tricky guy. Does his business credit status depend on the amount of inventory on hand? Does any of it get used for collateral for bank loans?
No, we don't do that.
Okay. And let's see. Okay, here's kind of a good question. Georgios the Greek, where do you see copper going if the world economy were to collapse?
That is a good question. Higher, but not that much higher,
right.
Probably. I think, the staples will remain the staples.
Right. Okay, and Eric, this is, I think, a good one, too. Since all this started going craziness, started happening, have sales slumped at all from the initial rush since the premiums have spiked, or are people still stocking up? Is it still a mad rush?
Oh, well, okay, that's a good question. For us, yes, and the only reason why is because we put anything we don't have without an ETA out of stock. If we kept, raising premiums and everything with no ETA, I'm sure we would set new records every day. Because what we are putting up, what we are able to source with a specific price and delivery date, as soon as we put it up, it's almost instantly bought.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So we've covered this. I want to kind of recap, and Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff, but the basic premise of what everybody's been complaining about is these premiums are these increased premiums are because of supply and demand, and it's not just the bullion dealers; it's how they source, and not only that, but their stock. Most of these bullion dealers, and Jonathan can't speak for all of them, but he can speak for himself, and probably some of the other ones too are likely to be the case because it is an unprecedented market, so that what they paid higher prices for, the dealers are taking from that stock and selling that out, and with the higher premiums, and so they literally are running out of stock. Was that a good summation for the most part?
Listen, dealers really are sold out. That's not a joke. No one is hiding anything. I can't speak for everybody. If you bought silver at 17 and you didn't hedge or protect yourself in any way, maybe in that situation you are, but none of these major dealers do that. We all make money by volume. We all make money by selling material to you. And the best way to do that is to have product at a reasonable price for you guys to pay. And that's what our goal is. The next few days, I'll be trying to source as many different types of maybe the top 20 or 30 SKUs that we have and try and lock down specific ETAs and prices. And we're going to just throw everything we can possibly sell on our deals page as kind of like a one-stop shop. I think our approach to that may be a little different. But honestly, in these times, people are really just looking mostly for a few specific products, not necessarily everything. So that way we can be sure that we have material to sell you and try and keep premiums as low as we can. But please know that premiums going up are not just dealers trying to, gouge everybody. We're having to pay more for these things too.
Right.
So, I use that example of the Britannias. We're making 50 cents an ounce on the Britannias.
Right.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, very good. Well, that's a good summary. I think that wraps it all up. And Jonathan, thank you so much for taking the time. I hope that people will hear everything, and I hope that helps explain for folks that are frustrated out there. And the frustration is understandable, but I do think that we need to kind of take a look at things from both sides, and because, hey, we're the buyers of precious metals, and we need to buy them from somebody, and the dealers are the ones that are selling it to us. And so there is that, people are going to look for deals, and it's always good to shop around. It's good to be cost conscious. And, but when it's all said and done, this is a crazy time and a crazy market. And so things are out of kilter right now. And why? Because there's a great demand. And the only way to counter that is to not buy. And Jonathan summed that up too. So Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on and answering these questions for us. And this is John from monumentmetals.com.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, and thank you to everybody that listened. And just be patient with things if you can. Just give it a little bit of time, see if things calm down. To me, one of the most major things I'm looking for in the next week or so is for major mints to come out and tell us when their next batch of material will be available. When that hits the marketplace, that should provide a little bit of clarity, and hopefully, I can't promise, but hopefully it should bring premiums down at least a little bit. So hoping to see that happen here in the next week or so.
Very good. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great evening. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I was only expecting to get 15 minutes with him. He was on the phone with us for over an hour. So it's amazing that he was able to answer our questions for us. And guys, thank you so much for being here. This was a great interview. For those of you watching this, we recorded this during a live stream, and I'm try to make this a separate video so that people can see that we did take the initiative to try to answer some of these questions that are in this video. We didn't get to all of them, but I think we answered the ones that people were most concerned about. And I'm hoping that people felt like they got their question answered. The most pressing questions, anyway. There were some joke questions in here too, but we really didn't have time to go through those. We could have probably spent another 2 hours with him to get through these, but I think we got the gist of it. And I want to thank again Jonathan from Monument Metals for coming on. So that will wrap this live stream up tonight. We've been going for quite a while here. I want to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch and interact here. And hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we will talk to you soon. Keep your feet on the stars and keep reaching for the ground. Take care, all.